we know that you'd go on to make some huge money in Japan as a tag team partner for Stan Hansen. But at this time, what was the incentive in doing a tour there? I mean, you had just returned to GCW and were getting really heavily featured on national TV. So I'm wondering if you can talk to us about the motivation for another
Well,
Japan run.
well, I mean, money. The $1 million man's talking again. I mean, like when you went on tour in Japan, uh, the only thing you paid for was your food.
Wow.
Everything else, your hotel, transportation, everything, airfare, hotel, everything else was paid for. All you bought was your food and the money aspect of going to Japan. Uh, I can remember when I was I was making a grand a night. That was about the time of course, I was with Hanson when that was going on. But the incentive it's kind of like, I mean, the first time I went to Japan, uh, I think I made $1,000 a week,
Okay.
but I didn't spend anything except food. The
Yeah.
only money I spent out of pocket was to eat. I mean, so you go make some money and you can save most of what you make because you don't have to spend much. It's great, you know.
That makes a big,
Plus,
big difference.
you weren't, each like the baby faces had a bus and the heels had a bus, and you get on your bus and you go. You don't have to worry about driving. You don't have to worry about how many miles is it and where are we going and all that other stuff. You just get on the bus and ride.
Pretty good arrangement, I gotta say.
But yeah, I loved it.
And yeah, it's even if you were only making $1,000 a week here at this time, it's like, okay, but if you're not spending any money the whole time that you're there except for on food, man, you're gonna
But
wind up coming home with a chunk of
the
change.
time I'm talking about is like the first time I went to Japan. Okay, I started the summer of '75, and it was a year. I think about a year later. So I think my first trip to Japan was either in '75 or '76. And I was just a young guy, and I wasn't anybody that was figured in at the time. But it was just a great opportunity. The first time I went off on a 5-week tour. So like I made 5 grand. Well, that's 1970, never 75 or 76. That's making 5 grand without spending anything except what you eat. So that was pretty good. That was like, I couldn't do that at home.
And 5 grand, I mean, $1,000 a week in 1976 is some really, really good money.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, certainly understandable why you go over there. Plus, it's a new country, and I love sushi, so I'm sure I would have loved
yeah,
it
yeah. And of
myself.
course, again, the funk influence. I mean, the Funks, I think, by and large, booked All Japan Pro Wrestling for Baba. In other words, they were the bookers of the American talent that went to Japan for Giant Baba, for All Japan Pro Wrestling. And then because All Japan was it, and then the guy Inoki is the wrestler who broke away from All Japan and started New Japan. So then
Right.
there were two promotions. I never worked for Inoki. I always worked for Giant Baba.